The Judgment Day faction is shaken by Liv Morgan's unexpected return to WWE Raw. On December 1st, WWE Raw gave a huge surprise. During a crucial segment, Liv Morgan made an incredible comeback. 2 semi-final matches for a major tournament were also featured on the broadcast. This all happened in Glendale, Arizona, laying the stage for a new chapter. The sudden reappearance immediately changes the course of ongoing plots. It gives both the roster and the fans a new twist. The event was a well-planned highlight of the evening, according to Fightful's broadcast. For the Last Time Is Now tournament, the episode that aired on December 1st was essential. Who made it to the finals was decided by 2 semi-final matches. LA Knight clinched his berth with a victory over JUSO. Gunther defeated Solo Sikoa in the other semi-final. This paves the way for a significant final confrontation between 2 superstars. Sports Illustrated published these outcomes in its live event review. The results of the event have important consequences for titles. Both winners are now positioned for huge opportunities. The finals are expected to be a significant occasion for the company. The influential Judgment Day faction was directly impacted by Liv Morgan's return. She stepped in during a Dominic Mysterio segment. Alliances on screen were immediately confused as a result. The group's cohesive front may be weakened by the action. It adds a new variable to their internal dynamics. In its post-show analysis, Forbes saw the return as a turning point. But after making her WWE comeback at the Survivor Series Premium Live event, Liv Morgan has finally sent Finn Balor her first message. At the most recent Premium Live event, Morgan assisted Dominic Mysterio in regaining the Intercontinental Championship. On Monday Night Raw in Boston on November 10th, Mysterio lost the Intercontinental Championship to John Cena. The Intercontinental Championship was the only title lacking from Cena's CV, but the last real champion made sure to complete his Grand Slam before retiring. Despite their disagreement, Balor posted some recent pictures he had taken on Instagram, including Morgan. The former Women's World Champion praised Balor's photo selection in a comment on his post. CJ Perry's perspective on Liv Morgan's comeback was intriguing. The former WWE superstar recommended Morgan to make it with the 17-time WWE World Champion upon her return. Speaking to TMZ, Perry suggested, Liv Morgan and the rest of the Judgment Day seemed to be on the same page when she stood tall with Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez to close this week's Raw. But an entirely fictitious, dramatic, and cinematic rendition. Inside a stadium that was completely sold out, SummerSlam 2024 was roaring. The electrifying and chaotic energy of the crowd nearly vibrated the ring's steel. Every fan was aware that the Women's World Championship and the resolution of one of WWE's fiercest rivalries were on the line. The lights in the arena are dim. The first lights to flash were purple. The music of Rhea Ripley became popular. As Mommy emerged, her championship belt gleaming on her shoulder, she was passionate and cold-eyed, and the crowd erupted in noise. She moved carefully, every step displaying dominance. Her black leather jacket, metal spikes, and stern look warned everyone. Nobody takes Mommy's title. Like a black queen, she stood in the ring, grinning as she gazed at the entrance. Abruptly, there were flashing strobes, white lights, and a crowd shout. Liv emerged wearing brand new white and silver clothing that represented rebirth. For her, tonight was more than just another game. Tonight was revenge. Her motions were more aggressive, and her gaze were sharper. She never once took her eyes off Rhea. This match is for the Women's World Championship, the announcer said. The bell rung. Liv came out fast. Jumping knee, forearm strike, drop kick. She was rapid-fire, attacking with pace Rhea didn't expect. However, Rhea Ripley grabbed her in midair and used a vicious powerbomb to slam her to the ground. The ring trembled. Liv clutched her back and yelled in agony, but she persisted. Rhea grinned. Liv, stay put. Crawling over to the ropes, Liv hauled herself up and gave Rhea a face smack. This is awesome, the crowd yelled. Rhea bent Liv backwards and trapped her in the prism trap. Liv cried out, but she wouldn't tap. Liv suddenly rolled, twisted, and retaliated with a double-footed stomp on Rhea's chest. For the first time, Rhea fell. Liv scaled the highest rope. Hurricane Rana in the air. Codebreaker, a traitor. Rhea stumbled but stayed upright. Then Liv struck a big oblivion. She reached for the pin. Liv tried another oblivion, but Rhea caught her, hoisted her, and executed a riptide through the corner turnbuckle padding. The audience let out a gasp. Liv fell like a shattered doll. Rhea pulled her to the middle and raised her once more. However, Liv retaliated with an unexpected DDT, causing both women to fall to the ground. The referee started counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the same moment, both women rose. They looked into one another's eyes, tired, hurt, yet determined. Like a bull, Rhea charged. Liv ducked. What a super kick. Another super kick. Rhea fell to her knees. For the second time, Liv struck oblivion. The stadium let forth a shriek. Liv retreated, trembling, sobbing, and in a desperate situation. Rhea got up and grabbed her by the throat as she ascended the top rope. Liv retaliated with elbows and hammer fists. Then Liv's most outrageous move to date. Everyone in the stadium leapt to their feet. Liv hooked her leg. The bell rung. Liv sobbed as she fell to her knees, holding onto the title she had spent years pursuing. Above the stadium, fireworks burst. Breathing deeply, Rhea Ripley sat in the corner. She briefly observed Liv's celebration. Then, astonishingly, Rhea nodded. A respectful, quiet gesture. Liv gave a startled look in return. Only recognition. Rhea moved out carefully, letting Liv have her fans yelled Liv's name as she stood on the ropes, holding the belt high above her head. "This is my redemption," she muttered. Fireworks burst into flames. The lights were burning. Liv Morgan reached the summit of the mountain at the conclusion of SummerSlam 2024. But Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, Netflix premiere, Women's World Title match, Raw. Fictional. The throng inside the brand new Netflix arena became electrified with excitement as the arena lights darkened. This was the Netflix premiere special, a momentous evening that promised historic moments, not your typical Monday Night Raw program. The major event, Liv Morgan's challenge to Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship, was the biggest of all. The Titantron flashed "Mommy," and the lights first pulsed purple. The crowd went wild. With her title on her shoulder and her eyes icy and self-assured, Rhea Ripley strode into the smoke. She appeared to be built of steel. She was fearless, unflinching, and intended to annihilate anyone who dared to challenge her authority. The lights turned green and white a few moments later. The audience erupted in shouts as Liv Morgan made her appearance. She was focused, energized, and had a fire in her eyes that hadn't been seen in months. She pointed directly at the title that was encircling Rhea's waist. It was her chance to change her fate tonight. The bell rung. The audience stood up. First round, power versus speed. In an attempt to take down the formidable opponent early, Liv got off to a quick start by dodging Rhea's first clothesline, striking the ropes, and executing a forceful dropkick to Rhea's knee. Rhea stumbled but stayed upright. She grinned, seemingly amused. Rhea delivered a vicious body slam that reverberated throughout the arena in response to Liv's second offensive attempt. Liv rolled to the ropes for breath after gasping. Rhea, however, offered her none at all, reminding everyone why she was champion by putting a boot into her chest. However, Liv retaliated by striking Rhea with an unexpected step-up enzui-giri. Liv planted the title in the mat after scaling the turnbuckle and performing a stunning diving tornado, DDT. The crowd screamed. Second round, changes in momentum. Infuriated, Rhea seized Liv by the throat and hurled her like a rag doll across the ring. She then trapped Liv in her trademark submission, the Prism Trap, after delivering vicious stomps and a deadlift suplex. Liv's fingertips were only an inch from the ropes as she clawed towards them. The audience chanted, "Let's go, Liv! Come on, Liv!" With a burst of energy, Liv turned her body sideways and countered the Prism Trap into a roll-up pin. In the final nanosecond, Rhea escapes. Rhea's expression stiffened. She was no longer amused. She was upset. Round of finals. Chaos unleashed. Rhea rushed with all her strength. Rhea was thrown shoulder first against the steel ring post when Liv made a last-minute dodge. Backstabber, Liv caught her off guard. The fans were going crazy. Liv went back up the top rope. From the top of the rope, she launched Oblivion. She got it exactly right. The leg was grabbed by Liv. The arena went completely dark. A terrifying chuckle came from the speakers. As soon as the lights came back on, at ringside, Dominic Mysterio yelled and distracted the referee in an attempt to defend Rhea at any costs. Liv yelled for him to get up. She was aware that she was losing her chance. Rhea rose like a shadow behind her. Liv turned, but it was too late. Liv turned in mid-move, transforming it into a breathtaking codebreaker that knocked Rhea to her knees after Rhea pulled her into the air. The crowd blew up. Dominic went into a panic. Once more, Liv struck Oblivion from the ropes. The champion was covered by her. For the count, The referee dove, there was thunder in the arena. Liv sank to her knees and covered her face with her hands. The referee lifted her arm and grasped the championship. Liv Morgan felt invincible for the first time in months. Shocked, angry, and betrayed by her own miscalculation, Rhea sat in the corner. Dominic was pale as he glanced at what he had just seen. As fireworks erupted overhead, Liv ascended the turnbuckle while holding the title high. An iconic picture of Liv Morgan standing strong as the new Women's World Champion marked the conclusion of the first Netflix Raw premiere. Additionally, cameras captured Rhea cruelly whispering backstage. But for weeks, the WWE Universe was in a frenzy. Since Liv Morgan declared her revenge era and Rhea Ripley recovered from her wounds, the conflict between the two women has grown to be the company's most combustible plot. Chaos, heartbreak, treachery, and outright violence characterized the Road to Bad Blood 2024. After SummerSlam, it was the Raw. Liv Morgan grinned with confidence she had never displayed before as she stood in the ring with the Women's World Championship behind her. She vowed that the nightmare would never rise again and described how she ended Rhea Ripley's reign. The lights went off. "Mommy's home," said a terrifying voice that reverberated around the arena. Rhea Ripley left with her mouth clenched and shoulders straightened, all black leather and fury. The audience erupted. This Rhea was different. She appeared hungrier, meaner, and more irate. Liv clutched her title as she froze. Rhea exclaimed, "You stole everything from me," pointing straight at Liv. "I'm taking everything back at Bad Blood." Liv was erratic, but Rhea was strong. Liv started engaging in psychological games throughout the course of the next weeks. She laughed while appearing on the Titantron during Rhea's battles. She made fun of Rhea by displaying replays of her injury. "Your nightmare is just beginning," she wrote on the black roses she delivered Rhea backstage. Rhea lost her temper one evening. She screamed Liv's name, slammed open doors, and destroyed equipment as she pursued Liv into the backstage area. However, Liv was always one step ahead of Rhea, mocking her with her twisted smile and quickness. It was evident to the WWE Universe that this was more than just a rivalry. It was a war. Chapter 3. Signing the Contract. The formal contract signing for their match at Bad Blood 2024 was held at Raw. The table was ready. Nearby officials stood. Liv smirked as she sat idly, swinging her feet. Rhea appeared prepared to demolish the structure. Both women were invited to sign by Adam Pearce. Liv signed right away. However, Rhea grabbed up the pen. "The last time you stepped in the ring with me, you broke," Liv said in a whisper that only she could hear. "I'll break you again at Bad Blood." Rhea did not respond. She threw over the table and sprang at Liv. They were surrounded by security. Liv continued to smile. Rhea shouted, "At Bad Blood, I'm ending you!" even as she was pulled away. Before Bad Blood, the last Raw was a chaotic event. Liv used a steel chair to ambush Rhea as she emerged for a match. She struck Rhea's leg, back, and ribs with the chair. Then Liv said, "This is my era," while holding the Women's World title over Rhea's lifeless body. However, despite the discomfort, Rhea slowly got to her feet when Liv ascended the ramp. With unadulterated hatred, she gazed at Liv. The audience erupted. There would be violence in Bad Blood. The arena was crimson. The stage erupted in flames. There was electricity in the air. Wearing a twisted black and green costume, Liv Morgan was the first to enter, grinning as if she knew something that the others did not. Next, in with a leather jacket, chains, and a lethal scowl, was Rhea Ripley. She appeared to be an uncontrollable horror. The match: bloody, brutal, and unforgiving. Early on, Rhea was in control and threw Liv around like a rag doll. Liv attacked Rhea's damaged shoulder with her speed as she fled. They engaged in combat outside the arena, banging against barricades and steel steps. Oblivion was knocked off the announcement table by Liv. Riptide was struck by Rhea through a table. They were both bleeding. They both refused to give up. For a last Riptide, Rhea lifted Liv. Rhea's eyes were doused with black mist by Liv. Blinded, Rhea stumbled. Liv rolled her up. The Women's World Championship was held by Liv Morgan. The arena blew apart. Clutching her title and giggling uncontrollably, Liv crawled off. Rhea yelled in exasperation while kneeling in the arena, her face marred by black mist and tears. This was not the end. It was just the start. It was far from the end of the Nightmare versus the Revenge era. Hello, dear viewers. Greetings from my channel. I'm Lima, and I hope you're having a great day. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel.